Well, folks, like the last video so well, I thought I would do another one for you. I'm going to have to start numbering these because I can't call them all the Torvaldr Combination. So this is combination number 2 with Great Weapon. Using my trusty battle axe once again. I'd like to point out, in terms of its attack potential, that I not only have, of course, the axe head striking surface, I have a thrusting tip up here at the top of the blade, I have a raised striking surface on the back, the hammer back, and I do have a butt spike. So I can make an attack from any position that I find myself in with this axe. So the combination I'm going to show you today is one that I use mainly against left-handed fighters. I will occasionally use it against a right-handed fighter who is throwing an offside shot at me. This is also another 3-part combination. It is a block followed by an attack followed by an attack. So the way this is going to work, and I like describing these ahead of time because I'm doing these so instinctively nowadays that sometimes I have to walk myself through it so I can describe it to you. The beginning of this is a slap block. That is a block where I am knocking the opponent's weapon down, ending its attack at me. Then I'm following it up with a counter attack, and then I am making an initiated attack. And what I mean by an initiated attack is I'm throwing attack before my opponent has thrown one at me. So this is a block, counter attack, initiated attack, withdrawal. And that attack is how I'm covering my withdrawal. So the way this one works, as my opponent is making an attack at me, remember this is a left-handed opponent and he's going to be coming around this side on me. And this again works from the center off to the side towards me. So even if it's an overhead swing, then I can deal with it. If it were going to be an offside swing for the lefty, meaning that he's attacking my prime side, then I would just go back to my original combination that I showed you once before. So this one is kind of a reverse of that. So what I am going to do is I am in my guard position. Remember, my guard position is a 3/4 advanced position. That means the blade is up and out a little bit from my opponent so I can throw cutting attacks effectively. I can still easily drop into a thrust attack, so I'm not giving up my range and I'm not giving up my point when I'm in this position. This will also work from a full advanced position where I'm primarily threatening with the point. It's just that now to make an attack, I've got to do a little bit of a wind-up. I've got to pull my head out of position in order to make the cut. From starting out here in the 3/4 advanced position, I can go ahead and make an attack with the blade without having to wind up. One of the last things you want to have to do when you're using a great weapon is wind up. The moment you pull back, you've just given your opponent an opening. So by being in that 3/4 position to start on guard, I can throw an attack without winding up. I'm not giving away my initiative or my range, just giving myself more options. So the way that this particular one works is the opponent throws his attack at me. I slap block with a step. Notice I said with a step. It's slap it down with a step. But here's the thing. You follow through with that slap block coming around to here. Now look where my butt spike is. Okay? So it's a slap block with a rotation. I attack with the butt spike, and now from this position what I will typically do is one of two things. I will either fall back with a direct attack to the head, or I will fall back with a sweeping attack to the side. I like actually using the sweeping attack to the side for two reasons. One is that after I have made this block and I have gotten this attack in, if this didn't work, what's my opponent going to be doing? My opponent is probably going to be throwing another attack at me. So, with the withdrawal into a sweeping attack, I can possibly block whatever it is they're intending to do. At least, if nothing else, I'm going to have my axe blade around the outside of his shield and I can wreck the timing of whatever it was he was planning to do. If you're going to go from the thrust to a downward stroke, this is something that I want to warn you about. You need to control your force. This is very easy when you're in this position, when you pull back, to do a hand slide and power down. And you can really easily put too much force into this blow. And that's especially true if you're using a great axe that has a rattan clacker in the head. So make sure that you take care when throwing a full downhead shot that if you're going to use that hand slide, make sure you keep the power under control. It's not as much of a worry even though you're traveling the same distance this way because you're pulling away from the shot and you're not typically using a hand slide. It's just way too easy from this position to do a hand slide cut, and that puts a lot of extra force into that shot. You may not believe it, but it does. Now this is a three-part combination that I just showed you, but it can easily turn into a four-part combination if, instead of doing the overhead shot from here, you do a sweeping shot this way. Why? Because, as I mentioned earlier, my axe head is already on the open side of my opponent's shield. So if I throw this shot and the head of my axe is past their shield edge, and they have not yet recovered enough to push me off, you can follow that up with a thrusting attack. So I hope that that gives you a few options. So we'll call this Torvaldr Combination number 2.